More than 300 days ago, when Hamas carried out their October 7th attack on Israel, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu likened the attack to Pearl Harbor and even the Holocaust. Enemies of civilization, bloodthirsty terrorists, savages, genocidal barbarians, and Nazis. These are all words that Netanyahu and other Israeli officials have used to describe Hamas. So it might come as a little bit of a surprise that Israel, while designating Hamas a terrorist organization, has been consistently supporting these genocidal barbarians with suitcases filled with hundreds of millions of dollars in cash. I'm investigative journalist Ben Swan, and this is Reckoning Israel and Gaza. Although Israeli support for Hamas was happening as recently as last year, it began in the 1980s. See, in the 1980s, Israel directly supported Hamas because they wanted it to become more powerful as a governing authority than the secular, non-religious PLO, or Palestinian Liberation Organization. That's a name you haven't heard in a while. See, Israel knew that turning a national struggle into a religious struggle, or a jihad, would allow Israel to frame Palestinian liberation as the aim of only Islamic fanatics. Former Israeli General Yitzhak Pundak told the New York Times, quote, "The Israeli government gave me a budget, and the military government gave me a budget, and I financed the opening of as many mosques and schools as possible. We wanted to strengthen Islamic institutions." Well, for decades, this social support system cultivated the political and religious ideologies that now drive Hamas militants. Adults who once attended the very mosques and schools directly funded by Israel. It wasn't merely about supporting Islamism and passively wishing it would yield religious leadership. Israel actively engineered Hamas's takeover of Gaza. According to a leaked diplomatic cable published by WikiLeaks, Israeli Defense Intelligence Chief Amos Yadlin explicitly said in 2007 that, quote, "Israel would be happy if Hamas took over Gaza because the IDF could then deal with Gaza as a hostile state," end quote. So in 2012, with the explicit permission of Israel, the government of Qatar began delivering suitcases filled with millions of dollars in cash every month to the ruling party in Gaza, Hamas. According to Israeli newspaper Haaretz, Qatar delivered $1.1 billion in U.S. cash and Qatari rials from 2012 to 2019. While working in Gaza, Reuters photographer Ibrahim Abu Mustafa took photos of Hamas government employees after they received their monthly salary in U.S. dollars. Israeli journalist Barak Ravid noted that, quote, "Israel's coordination with Qatar over the transfer of money to Gaza is one of the most bizarre elements of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's a paradox where Israel allows funds to Hamas while considering them a terrorist organization," end quote. So why? Israel facilitated the transfer of more than $1 billion to Hamas for political reasons. By bolstering Hamas and ensuring they remain the dominant political force in Gaza, Israel effectively minimized the chances of the more secular Palestinian Authority, which already controls the West Bank, from coming to power in Gaza. See, this strategy hinders the formation of a unified Palestinian state. And Netanyahu, well, he actually said this during political party meetings in 2019. According to Haaretz, Netanyahu told other members of his party that, quote, "Anyone who is against the Palestinian state should be for sending money to Gaza because keeping Hamas in Gaza and the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank helps to prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state." In an interview with German media, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert said, quote, "Netanyahu supported and advanced Hamas in Gaza. Netanyahu wanted to keep Hamas alive because he thought that if Hamas would remain in power in Gaza, it would divide the Palestinians between the West Bank and Gaza, and so it would prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state." Predictably, this strategy of channeling billions of dollars to their so-called greatest enemy backfired on Israel when Hamas launched its cross-border attack on October 7th. And for Americans, not only are we not told this incredibly crucial, maybe the most crucial part of this entire story between Israel and Hamas, but we're also left footing the bill, using billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars to defend Israel from a monster that Israel itself helped to create. As the former Israeli religious affairs head, Avner Cohen, said, quote, "Hamas, to my great regret, is Israel's creation," end quote. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at @truth_in_media, or you can follow this series by signing up to see each episode as it comes out at truthinmedia.com. And at Truth in Media, you'll find the transcript of this story along with all of the source articles. Check them out for yourself and stay tuned as we continue to unveil the truth around Israel's war on Gaza.